Alright, well, I tried restarting the stream and it moved over to like a different. It had to start as a different stream, which is not ideal. But I guess we can just go ahead from here. So, yeah, I think, yeah, I guess we'll just go on ahead from here. So, here we have, this is Acrithis' carriage, but if you look, it's got actually two, maybe more. I only see two people inside, and not Acrithis. So Acrithis must, as a character, must have been added later. And these are just two, I don't know, indistinct Duviri individuals. And they've got wares. This one has like a bottle of something. And this one has something long, maybe a spear or a stick or something like that. And then there's the drifter here. So this is still serving its role as like a market or a vendor, moving around the countryside. And then they've got, it's pulled by Kaiths, and there's a Dax like coachman in the front. And then this is interesting, there's like an additional cart behind with a Dax facing backwards. And this is not, as far as I can recall, this is not, I don't think in the game. This is an interesting thing. It's, I wonder why. Well, I mean, on one level, I wonder why Acrithis' cart is so heavily guarded. But then, because there is at least one Dax that like is with it. Although I don't think he fights. I think he's just part of the cart. I don't think he interacts with like combat in any way. They also seem to have rifles. The Dax, the one both in front and back, they have like, this one has like a bayoneted rifle. And this one has a rifle that he's like pointing off into the distance. That's also interesting, that they seem to have guns. Because I don't think they're spears, because it wouldn't really make sense as spears. Okay. Still getting some buffering. Yeah. Like I said, I thought I had been able to fix some of the internet issues, but it looks like we're still having a little bit of it. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, so it's interesting to me that that Acrithis as a character, came later, and her whole, because she's a very specific character. She's an archivist and a librarian, and so this moving cart thing is like apparently a secondary role, because it was developed before she was. And then the Dax, guards have apparently always been a part of this moving vendor. It's sort of interesting to see like the early parts of this concept. Here we've got, we've got three-headed giant Dax with two arms that are just like swords or spikes. This is something that we never see. It's interesting. Three-headed giant Dax. This is interesting. I wonder why it didn't make it in. I guess there's not really a use for it. It's very interesting as a concept. A very surprised drifter here. And then in the inset, So in the inset we have what looks like an underground village, and it's titled Soul Village. And this is actually this is sort of in the game as the Nether Barrow, or it's not like explicitly called the Nether Barrow, but it's like there's a large village or city underneath one of the islands that you can access at various points. And so that's what this looks like. It is titled Soul Village, which is interesting. And it's like on a pillar, and you can reach it through these like long winding bridges. It's got like the Duviri architecture, the arches, the really tall arches, and then it's surrounded by a bunch of faces. You've got, directly over it, you've got two hands holding like a Dominus Thrax face, like just directly over the town, which is pretty creepy. And then there's like faces set into the rock pillars all around it. This is really cool. Like I said, it's basically what the Nether Barrow ended up looking like, minus the faces. So yeah, right off the bat, we've got 3 really interesting pieces of concept art. And here we've got... wow. Some more interesting stuff. So this is the statue of Dominus Thrax on a Caith. This statue appears all over Duviri, especially like in the palace regions and stuff like that. It's obviously very reminiscent of like the famous portrait of Napoleon on top of his horse, and others, others like it. This is just, obviously just a very famous type of pose as like the conqueror. And Dominus Thrax, as far as we see him, doesn't do any of that kind of stuff. He's just like the boy king who gives orders and controls time. We never see him like have any sort of physical, prowess or skill or anything like that. Interesting that he's got the paracesis here, and he's also wearing like ballast robes. You can sort of see the types of robes that the ballast has. That's pretty interesting. And yeah, he's like the bare-shouldered robe that Ballast wears. That's not what Thrax wears in the game. But they clearly based him off of an Orcan from the very start. And then we've got some other stuff. So these are decks, but these are like weird. Yeah. So from so the Dax in Duviri, they're like got this weird skeletal appearance. These ones are like so these sketches and then these 4 on the bottom, like as continuations, they've got some sort of like, I don't know, they like turn into these like glass or crystals. Yeah, they look like crystals. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is sort of, because with the way the Dax and also the animals work in game in Duviri, they're sort of like metal, and then these are like they're having them sort of be made out of like crystals with metal like armor or covering. This is just like another fascinating concept that I don't know why, like where they were coming from with this and why they were like pursuing this. Is very interesting to look at, but it's also obviously like a very big difference from what we have in game. And then at the top of this page, these four are Duviri citizens, not like the Dax, but just like the courtiers. So this one's clearly Bombastine. He's got the head. This is a Krithis? Yeah. Yeah, this is a Krithis. It's definitely like the head, the helmet of a Krithis, and then she's got like a scroll that like winds out flat, and then this person behind her is carrying a bunch of other scrolls, and then there's like this big box, which I guess we can assume is filled with more scrolls. Each of these has like a little servant person behind them, which was part of the very first concept art that was revealed for the Duviri Paradox, back when Steve introduced it as Plains of Duviri. There was a picture of Dominus Dax on his throne, and then like a little sort of stooping person behind him like this. And so they sort of kept this little helper person in these early concepts. I wonder if this is supposed to be Mithila and this is supposed to be Loden. There's not much. Yeah, I think this might be Loden, because he's got some sort of a staff or like a scepter type thing. He's got something in his hand, and there's no real... I'm pretty sure like the helmet is reminiscent of Mithila, though. So yeah, we have like just, early concepts of these guys. Buffering is still bad. That, dang, that sucks. I'm not sure how to fix it, honestly. I'll have to run a few tests later and see if I can get this, if I can iron out some of these issues with the stream. And then here we've got some more... Oh, that's weird. Some more character concepts. This is... I guess this is like male Akrithis. Because this is Akrithis' headdress, and they've even got like the face-covered variant. Her mask closes over her face when she's not talking. But this has got like, I don't know, like Nihil's face. It's got like a male face and body. So I guess early Akrithis was male. And here we have Loden. This is let me compare this to... Yeah, it's not really the same. But yeah, here's Loden with the dagger. He in the Tennokan demo of Duviri, he has some sort of weird Incarnon-looking dagger thingy. I don't think he actually has a weapon in the actual game, because he just has the Dax kill you. Loden doesn't actually kill you himself. He just pronounces the sentence. But yeah, he's got his this little dagger, which is interesting looking. And here we've just got a Dax, like a Dax Gladius. That's basically what they look like now. We've also got some different head variants for the Kaiths, for the horses. Here we've got a Dax Malleus, the big ones with the hammer. And this is like... This is interesting. Because this is like a drifter. This is, I think, maybe the doll? Because this has got Dominus Strax's face, or a mask of Dominus Strax's face, which the drifter has during the paradox. And it's wearing like the drifter's, like adventurer top. The drifter is obviously not like made out of metal like this though. And the ball and socket joints are like what the doll has during the paradox. You've got like the little children's toy. And it's yeah, I don't think it's Thrax because it's got normal length arms, and yeah, and it's not the Drifter because the Drifter is not, you know, made of these materials. So I think this is the doll, maybe, I don't know. It's interesting because this is like modeled like a full person. And then here we have a statue of Tuval. I don't know what this is doing here. This I think might have been used for Tuval. So statues of Tuval show up in the Zariman, but they don't have great detail. The stream is finally working. I see some people saying buffering, and then Ninja says the stream is working for him. Yeah. I apologize for the buffering. I'm just gonna keep going and hope that, like, the VOD at the end comes out right. Even if there's some issues with the streaming, with the buffering during the stream. And then, you know, later I'll try to figure out if I can sort of get things improved. But yeah, I do apologize for anyone who's like trying to watch and not having a good time of it. Yeah, so this Tuval statue, this Tuval image, well, actually, is this this is like, no, I don't think this is a statue. I think this is just Tuval. I wonder if he was supposed to play some role in Duviri. He was certainly involved with the Zariman, and Duviri sort of came out of the Zariman in the sense that it came from the Drifter who was on the Zariman. But I wonder if they were going to do anything with this. Because, yeah, so in the Zariman there are statues of Tuval, but they don't have a lot of detail, and I don't think we get this good of an image of Tuval until, like, Varuna's Levarian, which has a picture of him. And so I think they might have used this for that Levarian, but I don't think we ever see. Yeah, I mean, there's no real connection with Tuval with Duviri other than the Zariman. So it's interesting that this is in this section. Alright, here we've got Old Man Teshin in his Duviri setup. Wow. Okay. So he has like a cane, like a Duviri cane. But this is like much bigger and bulkier and unwieldier than I'm pretty sure it is in game. And then you've got his like huge blue robes, which I think are great, and hood. I've always liked that, and it's a great distinction between, you know, Duviri Teshin and Origin System Teshin. Some more details, including the face, and then yeah, there's like, you know, the damage to his face because his head was getting crushed. No, Era had like his. In the New War, you see Era sort of grabbing his helmet by the top, which may have like been, you know, causing some damage to his face. And then, you know, it's sort of implied that his neck gets broken, but, you know, whatever. And then, you know, some more details of the front and back of this leg. It looks like it's like almost like a prosthetic, like a golden prosthetic of his foot. Wonder how many Duviri concepts got implemented into Soulframe, because an underground city of souls remind me of Darmak. I haven't actually, I did recently get a key for the preludes on Soulframe, but I haven't actually played any of it, so I don't know anything about Soulframe right now, or like its lore and world. I'm excited to get into that. But yeah. Yeah, I do wonder, I think a lot of people talk about how how like how Duviri is what there was like a this was a thing that was said a lot that like Duviri was a test for the Soulframe combat, which I don't think is like entirely true, but I do wonder like about how much of the overlap there is, both in terms of like gameplay mechanics and stuff, which is surely a lot. There's surely a lot of overlap between Soulframe and like Warframe in general, but also like the concepts and lore and story. All right. And then on this page we've got a couple of pictures of Dominus Thrax, and someone asked me to provide this specific image. I'll get like a high quality scan of this and post it in the Discord, and maybe some of the others, because this is a picture of Dominus Thrax sort of like defeated and lost, and all of his like the metal parts are sort of like breaking away, like the face mask has fallen off, and his like long right arm has fallen off, and so you can actually see his like actual human face. This is an interesting concept, not something that happens in the quest, obviously. And so I'll post like a better image of this, because it is interesting to look at and see sort of what the idea is there. And this is the first image that I was talking about earlier. This is the first picture that was there's the first concept of the Duviri paradox, or the idea of Duviri, that was shown off on a dev stream many years ago. I want to say in 2018 or 2019. And you have Dominus Thrax on this throne, which is sort of crumbling away into crystal, like the Dax that we saw over here. You know, it sort of turns into this weird crystal. Same thing's happening to the throne. Then you have this weird helper person holding up the very long cape. And then here in this top one, you see just a picture of Dominus Thrax, helper person with the cape, and it looks like they're sort of talking to someone, trying to reason with them or something like that. Maybe before this image happens. Alright, we've got some pictures of the Oro worms. So, I think this is very interesting. This, I think, is the oldest. This is sort of the this sort of looks like the oldest one that I can remember. No, it doesn't have the rings, because they the first time we saw one of these was in the Duviri Paradox trailer that came out in TennoCon 2018. No, 2019. Yeah, it was 2019. It was when they showed off Railjack, and then at the end, after they did all the Railjack stuff, the player gets caught in a void storm and ends up in Duviri, and then you see one of these. And then ever since then, there have been a few teases of these void worms, Oro worms, tubificids, which is what they're labeled in concept art sometimes. You know, it shows up in the game a few times in like the void mirrors in the isolation vaults, in the void tunnel, in the dual mirror defense on Mars, and